YouTube. What's up? Welcome into the channel. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Today's topic for discussion is basically going to be virtual assistants, right? People that work in the Philippines, they can work in Costa Rica, they can work all over the world. Essentially, they're just people that comes in and help you out in your business. But I want to talk about the top 5 things that virtual assistants should be helping you do in your potential business. Now, before we get started, hey, I got to make sure you guys are hitting that like button. It helps me out and helps me reach a larger audience. And obviously that's going to be beneficial to me and help me stay out there putting great content out. So with that being said, hit that like button. Make sure you share if you found it valuable, and make sure you subscribe so you get these gems all the time. Let's rock. So number 1, as far as virtual assistants, the first task that I typically have all my virtual assistants do is cold call. Now, with that being said, a lot of people are doing that. It's a wave right now of people that just hiring other people to go do cold calling. I absolutely love that. I think it's very beneficial. I'm actually working with my VA to train her VAs on making them better and actually do a lot more cold calling. That way they can be more proficient. So if you're looking for that, definitely check the link in the bio. I definitely have a link down there that you guys can go and sign up and just tell them Jordan sent you, and we'll be able to rock and roll from there. But essentially cold calling, it's a very, very good wave. So with that being said, cold calling is essential. One thing that I must admit to you guys, before you hire a VA for cold calling, make sure they take a DISC assessment. That's just going to let you know their personality type, because some of these cold callers are absolute salesmen. Some of these people are not salesmen and you just put them in a seat just to fill a position, but some of these people are salesmen. And some of my best cold callers was just natural. Like, I checked their personality type and it just fit with who they were as a person. They just fit that role. So if you're looking for a true salesman, a DISC assessment, typically, and I'll put the link down there in the bio as well, but typically for the DISC assessment, a high D, high I is a salesman personality type, right? We got a rock star assistant named Grace. She was very, very good at cold calling, probably the best ever. And I would say one of my biggest mistakes was not transitioning her over to actually closing deals over the phone, because she was natural at closing deals, right? She was natural at talking to people. She was natural at pushing even when they said no, and just keep going through the rejection with no slowdown, right? So definitely cold calling is number 1 tip. But if you're going to hire cold callers, make sure you have them take a DISC assessment. That way you know who you have. That way you know what kind of personality type they are, and then you can have opportunity to actually switch them over to a acquisition agent as well to promote them inside your business. So that's number 1, cold calling. Number 2, I would say run the text message campaigns and the RVM campaigns. So RVM, obviously all you got to do is go in there and set that up. But from a text message standpoint, it's definitely a great platform. You can get any virtual assistant to do it because everything is web-based. So essentially all they got to do is send out a certain amount of hour, a certain amount of a day or whatever, however that looks like in your business, depending on what you have. But essentially they'll send that out and then respond. And I always tell people to set up your own campaign initially. That way you can get the responses. You can copy and paste a Google Word sheet or whatever you're going to do, and you can have certain responses or just generic responses for your VA to respond to. You want to make sure they're kind of personable. You want to teach them what that looks like, how to do that. So the best thing for you to do is actually run the campaign maybe a week or 2 by yourself. Copy and paste all those responses, and then hand them to somebody else. And if your VA can't answer it based on what you give them, all you want to do is get back in that thing and actually create a generic response or a great response to the question, the unique question that they have, right? So that's one thing you got to do. But text message, you got to be very, very responsive on. So make sure you do that. Number 3. Man, all VAs handle dispositions, right? You need VAs to handle the disposition side of it. Their job is to find buyers, right? Get the data Excel sheet clean, and then allow us to be able to text message or RVM to those particular buyers. And any type of wholesale deals that we have, we want to make sure those wholesale deals are getting posted on Craigslist, which allows us to operate in a better manner, right? It allows us to do the work, or the work to get done, without actually me doing it, right? All I got to do is handle the phone call, knowing that the ad's been pushed out, and just respond to it. So that's one thing I would say. Definitely get them on, posting on Craigslist. Just send them over the pictures. They can post everything what you need to know, and just have, like I said, just have like a little generic form of what they're supposed to put on it. Like if the house, the square footage, the bedrooms, bathrooms, if it's just a lot, whatever the case may be, asking price, just have them fill fill that all that generic information out and then actually put it out for them so the buyer can be able to look at it.
Hey, have you liked the video yet? Make sure you like the video. Why do I keep telling you this? Come on now, I thought you loved me.
Number 4, I would say this is probably the most essential portion of anybody's business, and I think a VA needs to be doing it all the time. So the use for a VA, or the purpose for a VA in my business, is to take all the daunting, tedious tasks away from me, right? And I can focus on the high dollar money-making activities, right? Which is talking to sellers. And I advise everybody to look at this business as that way. You need to be talking to sellers. You shouldn't be cleaning up spreadsheets. You shouldn't be getting spreadsheets ready. You shouldn't be sending the data to get skip trace. You shouldn't be doing anything that has anything to do with the data. VAs need to handle all data entries. They need to handle all data entries. And the reason why is because you need to spend your time on making money. You shouldn't spend your time on scrubbing a list, filtering equity. You shouldn't spend your time on worried about where's skip tracing or where's the email or where's the data. All you should be doing is, if you're cold calling, if that's your method, you should be cold calling. If you're texting, you should have them running a text message. You should be following up with all the leads that's in your database. So that's what I would recommend everybody do. VAs are very, very good for handling the essentials. Now, what you need to do is worry about the money-making activities, right? Both of them got to get done. Both of them are hand in hand. You just need to make sure you're not doing the stuff that don't make money. Because let's break it down. If we work on Excel sheets, we get paid no money for working on Excel sheets, right? So we can hire out. We can get 30 hours, or we can get 20 hours a week for like $415 a month. So that's like $100 a week. You can get somebody to come in and work on your business, right? That's unbelievable. You got to take advantage of that opportunity, right? So make sure you don't handle the data entry situations. Make sure the VA is actually handling that. And this is what I would say is probably a big thing. Once you start growing and scaling your team and you have a lot of people doing a lot of things, one thing that I saw that was a daunting task is that I hired Grace, like I said, the rockstar VA I have, very trustworthy. I hired her to come in and do quality control, right? Quality control. That means she would go in and she would listen to all the cold calls. Her job was to listen to those, see how they're doing. For follow-up, she would listen to all the follow-up calls. She would come in, she would check out the RVM, see how many RVMs went out the day before, see how many text messages went out the day before, see how many cold calls we made the day before. And essentially what that allowed me to do is we used to highlight exactly where is the ball being dropped within the business, right? Where is the ball? Where do we need to pick up? And it allowed me as the boss or as a manager to come in and actually manage the team and figure out where is the holes at and how do we fill it? Is it a problem with the person that's in the seat, or do we need to get them more help? Whatever the case may be, it allowed me to identify the problem and then adjust the problem. Oh, we just don't have the data. Okay, let's go buy the data, right? So we can send out more text messages today, or we can send out more RVMs, or whatever the case may be. But essentially, quality control, like I said, you want to, in this position, you want to make sure they're a trustworthy position. But essentially, her job was just to come in at the end of the day, listen to the phone calls, listen to the RVMs, blacklist any RVMs. Essentially, she was just doing little tedious tasks, but she was a trustworthy person, rock star. She kind of knew where the conversations went. She knew when something went janky. And I tell you, she made me, we didn't make any money on this particular deal, but I had a situation where I actually got rid of an acquisition guy that came in my business, right? And the reason why I got rid of him is because of conversations he was having. And I wasn't listening to the conversation because he'd come in and make 100 phone calls a day, right? Which is probably essential to his success. But some of the phone calls was going sideways, and some of the phone calls was sounding like, just pay me when you get paid. Don't worry about anything. Yeah, we'll just break it. My name is such and such, such and such. Yeah, you'll just pay me on the backside of it, right? And he was sounding like he was trying to steal money within the business. So essentially, Grace alerted me, and then once she alerted me, we got on the phone with that guy and we basically terminated him. But if she would have never had that conversation, if she would have never been listening to those calls, would have never even knew, because I wasn't listening to those conversations because it's a tedious task, right? I was focused on making more calls. I wasn't focused on the calls that somebody else made. So with that being said, once you start growing your team, I would advise anybody to bring somebody in just to figure out where the numbers are, because it's a business, right? We got to look at key KPIs or key performance indicators, and look at those and say, is this good? Is this not good? Okay, where's the hole at? Where do we need to fix it? How do we get back on track so we can hit our numbers, so we can hit our goals, right? It's all mathematical. It's not a guessing game. Once you start scaling, it's all to a T. It's all about the science. It's all about how many people are we talking to. We get this many contracts. Okay, if we get that many contracts, how many typically close? Okay, at the end of the day, this is what we need to be doing. Boom, boom, boom. So we can hit boom, boom, boom. Right? So that's basically what it is. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you found value in it, definitely make sure you hit that like button. Again, subscribe. I'm gonna be dropping a lot more of these in the future, and definitely want to help you guys out. Keep winning.